Namaste. Welcome to the Soma Matha. Join us in practice for inner peace, which brings clarity in life, improving health, relationships, success, and prosperity, and which prepares the mind for true meditation, which awakens intuitive knowing and spiritual sight. Each week, we are announcing upcoming events and opportunities to participate in the activities of the Soma Matha organization based near Richmond, Virginia, led by Swami Gananath. The Soma Matha is dedicated to spreading authentic teachings on spiritual yoga, mantra, meditation, Ayurveda, and other Vedic sciences for the peace of the world. We are working to build a temple for Goddess Shakambhari Devi. Each week we'll be sharing a teaching from Swamiji, doing a group mantra practice and meditation, and conducting a simple puja, or prayer ceremony, for the goddess to humbly supplicate her to bestow her blessing upon the Sangha. A Sangha is a spiritual community who come together to support one another in their practice. Each individual gains strength in their practice from the collective effort of the group. Sangha feeds our practice. It nourishes us and empowers our efforts. It smooths and balances the challenges we face as it lifts our consciousness into subtler realms. Ottinger, I've been studying with Swami for a few years, and he's asked me to lead the Sangha since internet connection. To receive, we must give. Our efforts to provide this virtual space and to publish the many free teachings available on the website, YouTube channel, and Facebook pages are dependent upon your support. We encourage all Sangha participants to formalize their connection by becoming Sangha members and pledging their monthly support through the Patreon. There are 5 different tiers of support, so you can contribute according to your ability. All Sangha members receive access to additional teachings and opportunities for support in their practice, offered through Patreon. If you'd like to deepen your practice and your connection to the Sangha, please visit our Patreon and pledge your support. The link is provided in the description of this video. Daily 108 repetitions of the Mahamrityunjaya mantra. This is specifically for COVID around the world and in India. If 108 repetitions is too many, please do whatever you can. If there's any questions about this practice, you can reach out to us via the website. So the estate auction ended this week, and unfortunately we raised less than we had hoped for. We are still continuing our fundraising efforts to purchase a property suitable for a temple. We've only raised $30,000 of our goal to raise $300,000 by July 15th this year. The current property in Hanover County is being listed for sale this week. Obviously, time is running out before we must move from this property into whatever space we can afford. We pray to the goddess for her grace and help in the next few months. Please donate and help in whatever ways you are able. We are still looking for volunteers to help prepare the property for sale, including cleaning up the property, painting, putting flowers and plants into pots. If you are interested, please reach out to us via our website, somamatha.org, linked below. A recording teaching from Swamiji.
So then we have another question, which is, how does one see God everywhere and in everything? That's a good question also. So God is everywhere, they say. God is in everything. God is in everyone. That's the highest teaching of the Sanatana Dharma. That's the highest teaching of yoga. People in the West who are practicing yoga, they twist that teaching a little bit. In India, people say namaste when they greet each other. Namaste. They'll bow their head a little. They do the prayerful pose, bow their head a little bit. Namaste. And what does namaste mean? It means I bow to you. I bow to you. And they don't just say it for people, they say it for God. How does the Rudra hymn start? The hymn to Lord Shiva, Rudra in the Vedas is Namaste Rudra Manyava Utot Isave Namaha Namaste Astodhanvane Bahubhyamutate Namaha. Namaste, Namaste. That's the Namakam. It's bowing to God. Namaste, Namo, Namaha. Nama, I bow. That's what it means. Namaste, I bow to you. Namaste. So in the West, they say, well, why would we bow to somebody else? Because in the West, with the thought is very influenced by the Christian philosophy, the philosophy of the Abrahamic faiths. It tells us we are here in a separate place and God is elsewhere. God is not here. God is a man sitting on a cloud elsewhere. God is in a different realm. You say, well, this is just people, and people are evil, people are bad, so why would I bow to a person? They say, well, the spark of divinity is in everyone. God is the life of the life. God gave life to the people. So the way they'll translate this in the US many times, I've seen all the yoga teachers, they say, what does namaste mean? And they'll say it means, I bow to God within you. It's as if they're saying, I don't bow to you. I don't bow to the outer version of you, just that God which is hidden within inside you. What I can't see in you, I bow to that. And they'll never experience God because they have this attitude. They say the outer thing I can't see, and the God is not there. God is hidden within. In India, they mean, I bow to you, you are God. The Upanishads tells them, mother is God, father is God. Taittiriya Upanishad. Mother is God, father is God, house guest is God, and the teacher is God. You say if a house guest comes unexpected, invite them in, give them food, give them drink, serve them like it's God. There's many stories in Puranas that comes from this tradition. You know, they say that the beggar came to the house, knocked on the door, and the people treated him badly. And lo and behold, it was God. And they were in trouble then. Lord Vishnu had come down in the form of a beggar to test these people. Or vice versa, then maybe the beggar comes to the door and they treat him very nicely out of the generosity of their heart. And lo and behold, it is God. He blesses them with great riches and wealth or whatever. There's many stories like this. God is the life of the life. God is within all that is. God is the prana, the life force. Let me silence this telephone. It's making too many noises. Too many noises. There we go. Sorry. And so, what is prana? Prana is the life force. Prana is the force that gives life to all the animals, all the birds flying in the sky, and the squirrels and rabbits hopping around on the ground, and dogs and cats and cows and goats and chickens and people. The life of the life is God, and that life force is prana. But even all the movement everywhere throughout the universe is prana. The planets moving in the sky, they can only move because of this force of prana. The sun appearing to move through the sky because the earth is rotating on its axis. Day and night is coming, sun appears to be moving because the earth is moving and the earth is rotating around the sun, we know. The prana makes all this happen. And the prana is the same, the breath in us. It's the life force, the life breath. Prana. And there's 5 types of prana. Prana, the life breath. Apana, the downward moving air that governs all downward movements in the body. If you go to the bathroom, if you give birth to a child, apana is doing this. If you pass gas, prana, apana. Vyana is the circulating air in the body, all the movement around the body, circulation of blood and oxygen and all this is vyana. Then udana governs all the upward movements. If you sneeze, if the kundalini moves upward, if you burp, if you vomit, udana makes all this happen. And then samana, is the air that moves around the food in the digestive tract, moves it around in the stomach so it can be digested, pushes it somewhat through the digestive tract. Also, apana moves it down and out of the body. So we have these 5 pranas moving things in the body. If we focus on the breath, if we focus on it enough, we can see the prana extends beyond the body. We can become aware of the pranic body that sticks out several inches from the physical body. For a person who's very healthy, it'll be very much bigger. For a person who's unhealthy, it will be weaker. It will be smaller. We can become aware of the pranic body, and we can see the pranic body then around other people. And we see that prana is the same. People do a lot of stupid things looking to see God. People read these books, it gets their mind going. And they start thinking. You can't see when you're thinking. If you think too much, you can't come to a clear decision. The mind becomes too active, and you can't see what's going on around you if you're thinking, analyzing. It's a problem I see all the time. People say, oh, this person didn't speak to me for very long, so they must be angry at me because I did this, and they're thinking this, and they're thinking that, and they go down this rabbit hole. No, maybe the person's busy. Maybe the person was distracted. People think so much they can't see clearly what's going on. We've got to get beyond the mind. We've got to get beyond the physical eyes as well. You won't see God necessarily with the physical eyes. But if you see with the physical eyes, start there. Look at what you see around you. It's the evidence of God. The people do a very stupid thing. They go to the temple and they'll bow to the statue in the temple. Inanimate stone. And there's been cases where the murtis, the vigrahams in the temples are doing things. They offer the milk, it'll drink the milk. There was the milk drinking miracle several years back, 20, 30 years back. All throughout the world, many temples, sacred temples, the statues there were drinking the milk. Some sacred temples, the statues are doing things. And it's a sign from the divine, but typically a statue is a statue, it stands there. It doesn't matter how many ceremonies you do, how many yajnas you do, how many consecration rituals, prana pratishta, kumbhabhishekam. It doesn't matter what you do, it's still just a statue, it will stand there. Maybe if you feel the spiritual energy, you go there, you feel that, oh, okay, I feel something. But if you're looking with the eyes, you go, you look, and it's a stone statue, and people go to the temple and they're happy to bow to the stone statue. Yet they're very hesitant to bow to a living master, to a living guru. They're very hesitant to bow to their husband, their wife, their mother, their father. They say, oh, well, God's not there. This person's full of ego, ego-driven, there's no God, is there? Even the realized masters, so many people, they say, oh, this is a bad master. They make up stories about the teachers, or they hear the stories that other people made up. Maybe a lot of it's not true. Maybe some of it's true, but people don't understand from the perspective of this realized master what they're doing. So they try to understand it from their own experience of egoism and attachment. They say, I'm very selfish, I'm very greedy, so the master must be greedy too, must be very selfish. So if they did this, it was for this reason. And then the mind is active again. They say, this is a bad teacher. They can't come close to the teacher because the teacher will take away their egoism. Force them to feel what's inside so they can release it. And of course, the instinct of the ego is to turn away from this. So if you're looking with the eyes and you're not seeing subtler things, then look with the eyes and look into the eyes of your wife, of your husband, of your partner, of your friend, of your mother, your father. In the life of their life, you can see the divine is there. Even more so if you look in the master. And some masters don't like if you look in their eyes. Other masters, that's their thing. They look in your eyes and give you blessings. So maybe be cautious, be careful if you approach the teacher to know the protocol. But then if it's okay, look in the eyes. Look in the photo of the teacher and look in the eyes. You see the life of the life, God. In that, God is everywhere. And don't get me wrong, it can help to go to the temple. Not as much as it helps to go to the master who sees that. Because there's this concept of Sangha, that we're influenced by the people around us. If the people around us are having bad behavior, they're very materialistic, they're very sensual, they like to party, they like to listen to music and have a good time, it will influence us. If they're very depressed, it will influence us. If they're very violent, they're taking drugs and their mind is clouded, it will influence us. All of a sudden, we start to want things a little bit like they want. Years back, as a sadhana, my gurus had me just staying outside. I just stay out, and people would say, "Oh, come, it's getting so cold, just come stay in our house." And I would go there. I'd go to someone's house and I'd sleep, and all of a sudden it's just like I had been so detached from all the people around that when I went in there, I'd start feeling very strongly their feelings and thoughts. I had been vegetarian for 20, 30 years. Go into one guy's house and it's like, "Ooh, I want McDonald's hamburger now." This guy was eating that. And I was feeling that, feeling like I wanted that, just to be in association with him. I slept on his sofa, where he sat there on the sofa watching TV, thinking many a time, I want the McDonald's hamburger. I sat on the sofa, I was feeling that. So in that days, I preferred to sleep away from other people. It influences us. But then if we're around very spiritually minded people, it influences us. If we're around negative thinking people, we get more pessimistic. If we're around angry people, we get more angry. If we're around joyous people, we become more joyous. You can always tell when someone's about to have some success, great success in their business, because they start associating with all these successful business people. You can tell when someone's going to get married. They've been trying for years, struggling to get married, and then all of a sudden they start hanging out with married couples, and you know it's happening soon, because they've associated with them and their energy will influence them. You also know in the married couple, when there's going to be a divorce and a separation, when one partner insists upon hanging out with the single people, not in happy relationships, even though they're in the relationship, you know that slowly that's going to influence them. They've made the decision already, they're leaving that relationship. Because people are influenced in subtle ways by these things. Now, if you want to see auras, what do? You go to a place where the people see auras. You be around people who see auras. You befriend someone who is an aura reader or whatever. I don't know, why should we see auras? There's no need to see any auras. But if you want to have good intuition so that you can look in the crystal ball and tell people about their futures, you can look at the tarot cards or the astrological charts. Be associated with very good, very intuitive astrologers and people like this, and it will influence you. You'll start to get that intuition. So we can go back to the last question. How do I know about what if God is speaking? How do I know if the ego is speaking? Be around people who hear God speaking. Talk to God, listen to God, but then more importantly, go be around someone physically as much as you can. Now in COVID, maybe there's less chance. Go to the online Sangha. Look at the photo. Connect that way energetically. So if you want to see God, associate with those who see God. If you want to see God everywhere, you've got to be around a realized master. Have that association. Keep that association. When you walk around, don't think about how I'm thinking, how I'm feeling. Keep your thoughts and your feelings. Don't put that out of your head, but then keep that awareness. Connect energetically with that consciousness of the guru. What would my guru think? What would my guru do? How would my guru process this experience? And keep that consciousness. When you're in the presence of a master, you feel that. So if you have some awareness. If you don't, go there and try again. Feel that. And then when you walk away for some time, you carry that with you. You can reconnect looking at the photo. You can reconnect doing the pada puja of the master. You can reconnect looking at the video and the teachings of the masters. Seek that association with people who see that God is everywhere, and then practice it and pray for it. You can do your sadhana, do the spiritual practices, chant the mantras that uplift your consciousness. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Ka E Ila Hrim Hasakahala Hrim Sakala Hrim Doesn't matter. We can pray to Shiva, we can pray to Vishnu, we can pray to Devi, we can pray to Ganapati. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. The Ganapati Upanishad says you pray Ganapati. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. And Ganapati is established in Brahman, the Absolute, the God that's everywhere throughout everything. If you pray Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, Ganapati will lead you all the way there, to that realization of God. We've got to continue to practice the mantras. As the difficult experiences come up, then we have to process them. We have to find the ways to release them. Keep practicing the mantras. The body has health problems. Go take some herbs. Talk to an Ayurvedic doctor. Change your diet. Take some good healthy herbs to help balance the body. If the mind is out of control, do some pranayama. Balance the mind. Herbs can help with this too. Change what you watch on the TV. Change what you listen to. Don't listen to all this music. I love you, and then you left me, and my heart is broken. It's like all the music on the radio. It's like this for the most part. Don't listen to it. You'll start feeling bad. Instead, listen to some sacred music. Listen to Andal singing her heart out to the Lord Vishnu. And there's some beautiful musical interpretations. Listen to the Carnatic music. Listen to even the modern kirtans and bhajans and of the mantra. Listen to the Vedic chanting. Listen to the Sama Veda, so musical. How. Don't watch these TV shows. It's all about egoism, all about materialism. Don't watch this. Watch a nice nature documentary. Something uplifting. Watch some spiritual documentary. Watch the teachings of the gurus and the saints and the mystics. Watch the teachings about learn about more practices that you can do. Then go to the sacred places. Pilgrimage once in a year when there's not a pandemic going on to some very sacred temple. It will empower your efforts. Go every week if you can to some sacred temple, some local temple. Live near a temple so you can go, and the power in the space of the temple is very powerful. For 100, 150 miles, 250 miles, the temple tower will send out that blessings, and if you go there every week, it will connect you to it. It will bring it right to your house. Thousands of devas work through the temple. You don't have to be a Hindu. You can go to church. You can go to synagogue. You don't have to be a Hindu. But go to some sacred temple, and then every year, if you can, go to some very sacred place, very holy place. If you're Jewish, go to Jerusalem. If you're Christian, go to the place where the Christian saints were. Go to Spain and go see the grave of Teresa of Avila. Go see her heart, which never rotted. Go to the sacred cathedrals. Go to the holy places. Go see where St. Francis was. These holy, sacred places. We should go once in a year, if we can, to a very powerful place like this in this process of pilgrimage. It's a whole spiritual journey. In that process of pilgrimage, you start to see God is everywhere. In the presence of a master, everything comes together. You get a thought, and then their thought is answered. You get a thought, I need to learn more about yoga, and bam, someone hands you the book. Someone tells you. If you need to hear something, you're not hearing it, people say it 3 times real quick. 1, 2, 3. They just keep telling you. One person, then the next, then the next. To go back to our first question, God is talking to you when the person tells you you didn't listen. Another person tells you, another person tells you. 3rd time, you better listen. You know that that's God talking to you. You start to see that God is everywhere. When you can understand everything that's happening is perfect, it's a blessing, it's your karma. You came together with certain people for a certain reason. And you start to see God is everywhere. God is in everything, blessing you, helping you. You've just got to see life as a blessing. You've got to practice contentment. You've got to get out of that place of misery. You've got to get out of that place of saying, I feel overwhelmed, I feel sad, I feel scared, I feel angry. Just let all that egoism go and practice feeling that it's a blessing, and then see the blessing. What did God have you doing today? Think about that. Everyone watching this, you should think about some challenge you had today and the way that your ego was processing that and making it worse and a terrible experience. And ask yourself, how was God challenging me? How was God helping me, blessing me? How was God blessing me through this particular situation? If you can start to see that, if you can start to understand that, you'll know why everything is happening. Knowledge of karma will start to unwind. You'll see why it's happening to everybody around you. You'll see why it's happening to you. It will make sense, and you can see it's all God. There's a God for everything. God's in everything. In the night, there's the goddess Ratri. In the dawn, there's the goddess Ushna. In the obstacle, we have Ganapati. In all the violence and difficulty and destruction, we have Rudra, Shiva. In preservation and sustenance, we have Vishnu. In wealth and abundance and beauty, we have Lakshmi, who they also call Kamala. In creation, in life, in birth, we have Lord Brahma. God is in everything. The divine force that empowers everything. Nothing could be without God. And God is within everything. We've got to stop thinking that God is separate, a separate concept, and start experiencing that God is there. If you make an offering in the puja, feel that God is blessing that. Feel that it gets energized. And where does that energy come from? From the inner realms. You're becoming more aware of the inner realms. On that level, we can experience that God is there and everything is connected. If you focus too much on the physical body, senses of the physical body, then we're separate. My body's not the same where yours is. I'm in this side of the video, you're on that side of the video. There's a screen and time separating us because I recorded this and then we'll upload it later. Screen and time is separating us. But even if you were sitting here next to me, space is apparently between our bodies, but not so much on the level of emotion. I could feel what you're feeling. You could feel what I'm feeling. On thought level even. My thought will influence your thought. Your thought will influence my thought. On the pranic level, no. The life force is the life force throughout the universe. It's not mine, it's not yours. It comes from the sun, we breathe it in. We all share it. We breathe it out, we breathe it in. We're not so separate as we think. If we can start to see the subtler levels, then on that level we're connected and we start to see that God is everywhere in everything. We've just got to practice like that. We've got to have that awareness. So when you think of it, sit and practice feeling that inner connection, experiencing the subtler levels of who you are. Then we see it more clearly. We can't understand God necessarily reading the books, and God is not a man with faces and extra arms, and God is not some goddess with 9 or 8 arms, 10 arms. God is on a subtler level. The devas are on a subtler level. Their body is made of spiritual light, but if you don't see that spiritual light, and this is the reason for austerities, tapasya. This is the reason for we don't eat just like very, very sumptuous, complex, elaborate meals all the time and eat all meat and fat and sugar. I almost never eat sugar. When I eat sugar, I'm cooking it for other people. I eat it more so they think I'm not like judging them or criticizing what they're eating. But people crave it. I don't crave the sugar, so I don't eat so much of sugar. I just don't happen to crave it. It's not so good for my body. Too much of sugar, not good for anybody. But this is why we're avoiding all this. Like, you can go and have beautiful fashion and go and dance and go and party and have fun and seek a sensual experience, and it just brings us into the body consciousness. On that level, we're separate. On that level, we're bound by egoism and this fight or flight instinct that all the animals, including the people, have. We get more and more connected to it. And there's a story I'll share about St. John of the Cross. I've been thinking about him today. He's a Catholic saint, St. John of the Cross. He was, a lot of time, he'd be in the samadhi, they call ecstasy in the Catholic tradition. So he'd be sitting still in this meditation, not apparently breathing, not moving, just perfectly still. And even when he's walking around, he had this state of samadhi, that he's walking around with the awareness of just experiencing God everywhere. He was so inwardly focused that as he walked around in his monastery with his brother monks, they'd speak to him and he couldn't hear what they're saying. They say his knuckles were always bleeding because he's always hitting some wood or something. Knock, 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 knock. That pain, he'd do the pain to the physical body because it would draw the awareness back into the physical body enough that then he could see and hear what the people were saying around him. And I've had that experience at times that I'd be chanting so much I'd do some yekyam for days, like 20 days, 50 days, 60 days, 80 days, 150 days. Just sitting all day long at the fire. Then I'd eat a little food, go to sleep, then wake up and Om Namah Shivaya Swaha, Om Namah Shivaya Swaha. You know, and in those days, birds would come and just land on me. They like the energy, land on the fire, you know, on the fire altar. Then I'd go, you know, eventually I'd hear some voice say, go walk around. And I'd go walk around and someone would come and talk to me and I couldn't hear what they're saying because I was focused inwardly more. Certain things we do get us focused outwardly and then we'd cut off from that experience. Certain things we do get us focused inwardly. So we know those practices. Do them and take responsibility for your mental state. If you're wallowing in misery saying, oh, I'm unhappy and it's out of my control, then you'll never have the experience. You got to stop wallowing in misery and take responsibility and start to see everything as a blessing. Then you'll see God is everywhere. Around a teacher, you see it more, but it quickens those karmas more too. You might have 20 things happen quickly that would be very challenging without being in that space of grace. So, you know, it just takes practice. So we'll go on to our next question.
Thank you, Swami. Recitation of the Gayatri Mantra for Shakambari Devi. And now for the Japam practice, we will be doing the Devi Panchakshari. The Devi Panchakshari mantra is the 5-syllable mantra of the goddess. It is the same as the sacred Panchakshara mantra Om Namah Shivaya, with the addition of the Shakti Bij Cream. It uplifts consciousness to the highest state of peace and bliss. It empowers our spiritual practices and grants liberation from all troubles. Though its literal meaning is Om, I bow to the goddess, who empowers divine peace and consciousness, whose seed syllable is cream. True understanding of a mantra is in the spiritual experience it bestows to the seekers, as it elevates their level of awareness through dedicated practice over time.
We will do 108 repetitions of the mantra. Om Hrim Namah Shivaya. 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 Om. We will do 108 repetitions of the mantra. Om Hrim Namah Shivaya. 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 Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Shoulders back and relax. Close the eyes. Allow yourself to see the inner light of the divine radiating from your heart. If you do not see it, feel it. Distracting thoughts or feelings come into the mind. Allow them to be and witness them without hesitation, without judgment, and without analysis. Allow the light of the divine to heal them, bringing deep peace and wisdom. In light, all darkness vanishes. Practice sitting in the inner light, which is bright like 10 million suns. Let this light heal you. Invite that experience, and allow it to guide your consciousness and impel your actions for the highest good of the three realms. traditional system of offerings, coupled with mantras, to help people seek the assistance of divine beings in their lives and spiritual practice. Puja ceremonies can be simple, as in the case of the offerings made daily in the homes of millions of beings, or extremely complicated, as are the rituals of temple consecration, which require the participation of hundreds of devotees and dozens of well-trained priests. The oil lamps, fruits, flowers, water, herbal incense, and other offerings provide prana, or subtle nutrients, for the devas and other inner realm beings to send blessings to the physical realm. The sacred mantras open a channel to the inner realms. The effects of puja are powerful to bring about peace and healing. During puja, problems are mysteriously resolved and answers to difficult questions arise spontaneously by the grace of the many inner plane beings working to fulfill our prayer, empowered by the sacred mantras and offerings. We are conducting a simple Pancha Puja of 5 offerings. These offerings relate to the 5 elements and are Pushpa, a flower, which symbolizes the ether element, Khanda, sandalwood paste, connected to the earth element, Dhupa, incense symbolic of the air element, Deepa, light, symbolizing fire, and Naivedyam, food relating to
Om Adya Purvokta Evam Gunavisheshena Vishishtayam Asyam Shubhatithau Sri Soma Matha Sanghasya Asmakam Sahakutumbhanam Kshemasthirya Virya Vijaya Ayura Roga Aiswaryanam Abhivriddhartham Shri Shakhambhari Devi Prasada Siddhyartham Yatha Shaktya Shri Shakhambhari Devi Pancha Pujam Karisye Om Apa Upasprisya Om Jata Veda Zezunavama Soma Marathi Hato Nidahati Vedaha Sanah Parshadati Durgani Vishvanaveva Sindhum Duritatyaknihi Om Am Sham Shakambhari Devye Namaha Om Bhurbhuvasvaha Asmin Chitrapathe Shri Shakambhari Devim Avahayami Sthapayami Om Am Sham Shakambhari Devye Namaha Gandhan Dharayami Gandhasyopari Haridra Kumkumam Samarpayami Om Am Sham Shakambhari Devye Namaha Pushpam Pujayami Om Am Sham Shakambhari Devye Namaha Dhupam Agrapayami Om Am Sham Shakambhari Devye Namaha Deepam Darshayami Om Amritamastu Amritopastaranamasi Om Pranaya Swaha Om Apanaya Swaha Om Vyanaya Swaha Om Udanaya Swaha Om Samanaya Swaha. Om Brahmane Swaha. Om Am Sham Shakambhari Devye Namaha. Naivedyam Nivedayami. Tambulam Nivedayami. Amritapaniyam Samarpayami. Om Yopam Pushpam Veda. Pushpavan Prajavahan Pashuman Bhavati. Chandramava Apam Pushpam. Pushpavan Prajavahan Pashuman Bhavati. Ya evam Veda. Yopamayatanam Veda. Ayatanavan Bhavati. Rajadhirajaya Prasaya Sahine. Namo Vayam Vahi Shravanaya Kurmahe. Same Kaman Kama Kama Yahmahyam. Kameshwaro Vaihi Shravano Dadhatu. Kuberaya Vaishravanaya. Maharajaya Namaha. Yo Vedado Swarah Prokto Vedante Cha Pratishtitaha. Tasya Prakriti Linasya Yah Parasamaheshwaraha. Narayanye Cha Vidmahe Shakambhare Cha Dhimahi. Tatno Devi Prachodayate. Om Am Sham Shakambhari Devye Namaha. Om Bhurbhuvassuvaha. Om Avahitabhyas Sarvabhyo Devatabhyo Namaha. Vedokta Mantra Pushpanjalim Samarpayami. Kale Varshantu Parjanyaha. Prithve Sasya Sahitni. Desho Hyam Kshobarahitaha. Brahmana Sandhu Nirbhayaha. Bhagavata Sandhu Nirbhayaha. Sajjana Sandhu Nirbhayaha. Sarvechana Sandhu Nirbhayaha. Swaste Prajabhyah Paripalayantam. Nyayena Margena Mahimahishaha. Go Brahmanebhyah Shubhamastu Nityam. Lokah Samastha Sukhino Bhavantu. Aim Kara Hrim Kara Rahasya Yukta. Shrim Kara Gudhartha Mahavibhutya. Om Kara Marma Pradipadinibhyam. Namo Namaha Shri Guru Padukabhyam. Ajnana Nashanaya Vidmahe Jnana Prakashaya Dhimahi. Tapno Guru Padukah Prachodayate. Om Shatamanam Bhavati Shatayuh Purushashatendriya Ayushevendrihe Pratitishthati. Om Sahatna Vavatu. Sahatna Bhunakto. Sahaviryam Karavavahai. Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Shri Devi Arpanamastu.
Thank you for watching tonight. Please remember to join the Patreon and donate donate and volunteer to help us with the